I know Victoria's Secret. She's a guy in the streets.
For those that don't know, when Jared loves a new song, he will sing it nonstop. Whether it's to me on the phone or through the podcast or when I'm there with him.
Well, so the girl who sings Victoria's Secret is this girl
She's very good.
named
Very
Jax. And I believe she may have been on American Idol. Didn't get very far. Possibly. I haven't watched Idol since my mom since my mom was alive. And
I didn't think it was still on. I thought it got canceled.
No, Ryan Seacrest got it to go over to Channel 6.
Did it get canceled and then come back?
No, it went. Channel 6 bought it. And they ABC bought it. It's Channel 6 here over in this part of the world. And they saved it didn't save it. They allowed Ryan Seacrest to be like the producer. Then he also does a podcast and he does a radio show and he does all these things. And so they were able to do that. So I guess it's still making money because people are still watching it. But this girl Jax is on I've seen it on TikTok, being that we've done some TikTok-y stuff lately. You go on TikTok and you see what people are doing. And this girl keeps coming up with these funny comedy songs with people like, this is the little girl, this is the girl I babysit. And it's
the babysitter one's good, yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. And she's got 10, now 11 million followers on TikTok. And she's got a couple million on Instagram. And she came out with this song called Victoria's Secret. And it's a poppy, pop, really catchy pop song. I sent it to Steven when it had like 5 or 6 million listens on Spotify, and now it's over 11 million. So in a matter of like a week, it's adding almost 1 million plays a day, probably. Actually, no, it's at.
Did you say her name yet?
Jax.
Jax, yes.
Jax. Jax. So sorry, it's at 9. Let me close out of Spotify and reopen Spotify again, because sometimes it doesn't reload right. So let's see. Jax, Jax, 10.33 million streams, which is really good.
Yeah.
It's a very poppy song. I really recommend that Steven plays a piece of it during the podcast right now. That was poppy. I know Victoria's Secret. She's a girl, a old man living in Ohio, making money off girls like me.
That is the
amazing thing. Cashing in on body issues.
Here we go. That's the amazing thing today, though, is you don't need American Idol. You can do it yourself with freaking TikTok. It's amazing to getting 11 million streams on Spotify.
Now, yes, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next, because what always happens is like someone wants to sign you and then they want you to write an album and then they want you to tour and do it old school. I heard someone say that there's 60,000 new songs uploaded to Spotify a day or something along those lines. And to cut through the minutia with something like this, it's a multifaceted approach that she has. She sold singles, which I don't understand buying a single today. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense, but it was on like the top of the iTunes charts.
Can you buy on iTunes? I thought iTunes shut down the store.
No? Then did they shut down the store?
I thought they did, but I don't know. I haven't opened iTunes in forever.
I refuse to open iTunes, but yeah, I don't know, but it ranked high on the iTunes charts. It's like number 83 on the Hot 100, which, isn't tremendous, but it's on the charts. That's better than I can say about the Frono's Photo song. Anyway, before we get into Frono's Photo song, this is a RAWtalk Reboot episode number 11, where Steven and I sit down and talk to you guys about whatever the hell we feel like talking to you about. Honestly, so I'm doing something different today. I've got both in-ear monitors in, and I've got my audio being monitored. It just feels weird. It feels different than normal.
Because you're not yelling for once.
I'm not yelling?
You're not yelling.
Really?
It feels like I'm talking to you on the phone right now.
Oh my God, really? I could change that.
No.
If you're new here, you can text us at 313-710-9729. We go through those text messages. Just put in hashtag episode 11, just so that we know what episode you're talking about, so that we can basically have an idea, because sometimes I don't remember, because I still get people that text the old text line, the 267 one that was the Google Voice that I stopped using. I've been going through all the old podcasts and I'm on episode 184 and I agree with you. And I was like, I don't remember what we were talking about in 184. But no, the Frono's Photo song didn't make the charts, but how does it go? Boom, 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 boom.
I shoot raw, I don't crop headshots from the top. I just know my ass stops like criminals, no cops. I don't need flash to make the colors pop. Just rely on natural lighting and the Photoshop.
I shoot raw, I don't crop headshots from the top. I know my f-stops like criminals, no cops. I don't need flash to make the colors pop. Rely on natural lighting and the Photoshop. Screw Mercedes-Benz, I got the biggest lens and only shoot with Nikon.
Not anymore.
I know. So if we change this, it would be like I shoot raw, I don't crop headshot.
You could still do CANON.
Yes,
it still kind of works.
I'm about to rewrite the lyrics here. I shoot raw, I don't crop headshots from the top. I know my f-stops like criminals, no cops. I don't need flash to make my colors pop. Just rely on Skittles and the in the Lightroom. Just rely on Skittles.
What's Skittles? I've never heard of that before.
Skittles. Oh man, do I like
Taste
Skittles? Taste the rainbow. I don't like Skittles actually. I don't actually eat
hate
Skittles.
Yeah,
I'm an M&M guy. I like the sugar. Sorry, not the sugar. The chocolate. I didn't like the sweet of that, but I did like Mike and Ike's. I didn't like Ike as much as I liked Mike, so I only ate the Mikes, not the Ikes.
I was never a fan of those.
Yeah, I really liked those. And as a kid, I liked Good and Fruity. Good and Fruities. Anyway, guys, welcome to episode number 11. We appreciate all the new listeners because I know we do have a bunch of new listeners. We do look at the numbers just to see how we're growing. And since putting it into RAWtalk each week and just mentioning that we go deeper into the news stories of the week here.
Yeah.
I keep doing that. Since we go into I say it in Photo News Fix. I ask you guys to come over here. We enjoy this. This is a RAWtalk where we could sit and be raw and have conversations, go in deeper about the things that are newsworthy or things that we want to talk about. There's 11 episodes. This is episode 11 of the reboot, but there's like 400 plus episodes of Daily Fro, and then there's the original
like 280 or something
RAWtalks that we did for years in a different format.
Oh yeah, 7-8 years straight.
I'd be happy with, I'm happy with what we're doing now. I enjoy it. I'm pulling up our numbers right now because I know people like to talk about numbers.
Well, and while you're doing that, to me, RAWtalk has always been kind of like for the diehard fans, for the ones that really want to hear every little thing about Frono's Photo or what goes on behind the scenes. I think it's more for them. And hey, even if it's 10,000 people, which don't get me wrong, it's still a ton of people. It's just nice to kind of keep the really super hardcore fans really engaged, and I think it's more for them.
Yeah, so far last week's episode, which went up Friday at midnight, has 5,000 downloads.
There you go.
The episode number 9 has 6,325. Then it's 6,357, 66. So it looks like we're between 6,000 and 7,000 after a week or two.
Cool.
Yeah. So to put it into perspective, the first 7 days, we have this metric here. The first 7 days were 4,600. Then they were the Daily Froze people don't really get as many, so that was like 3,500. But yeah, we were looking at around 4,000 to 4,700 before we started promoting, and now we're at 5,300. So to go up 700-800, hopefully to keep going up. So anyway, if you know people who are looking to listen to a podcast like this, let them know.
And I think it's crucial to be on a schedule of some sort when you're doing a podcast. Like the randomness of, hey, we're putting it out every 2 months and then here 3 in a row. And then, no, it needs to be weekly, same time, same date, same everything. So
Fridays at midnight.
We've been pretty good with that so far.
Thursday into Friday at midnight. And let me just do a quick, not recap, but a pre-cap of what we're going to be going over, so you know how this episode is going to flow. We're going to talk a little bit about Reels, Shorts, and TikToks, what we've been working on for that. We've got some discussion about something about Petapixel. We've got a film school that goes broke after raising a shit ton of money on Kickstarter. I got an email asking me to help fund somebody's business. We're going to talk about that. Sigma had some new lenses. Instagram wants to start testing some new vertical formats. We probably won't get to Sony adding forgery tech to their images. And we want to talk about the Bernie documentary. So we will save a good chunk of time to talk about the Bernie doc, unless Steven wants to start right there and talk about the Bernie documentary right meow. You wanted to bring this topic up more than I wanted to bring this topic up. So let's talk about it.
Well, I think we start with the title discussion, right?
Yes.
The issue of trying to find the best title, because if we just literally called it what it is, the Bernie documentary or just Bernie, simply Bernie, it would get no views. First of all, people on the other side of the political spectrum, whatever, they would obviously just tune out right away and not even give it a chance. So that was always an issue. And we also wanted to clickbait it to a certain extent, but you can't go that far with clickbait with this kind of video kind of content.
Right. And so we spent a couple days. I had what I thought was
yes, you instantly came up with a title when we talked about it on Friday, I believe, and we were going to post it on the weekend. And I, right then and there, I'm like, that's it. That is definitely it. Perfect. We both kind of agreed on it. And then we kind of went back and forth because it is a controversial title itself.
Well, so the title was This is Controversial. And when I went back and looked at a lot of the older videos that did well recently that were these scripted type or things that we were in more control of, that weren't lens reviews or anything, I came up with This is Controversial. The problem with that is it instantly says that it's controversial, and it's not. I know Stephen and I have had this discussion a lot. I know that it has a political figure in it, Bernie Sanders, but anybody that's watched this 50-minute documentary knows that we don't touch on politics. It just so happens that I'm on the road, Stephen is on the road with me, covering the campaign trail, documenting what we encounter and what we see. You do not get the political part of it, and Stephen chose to do that in his editing.
Yes, well, we both kind of agreed on that going into it, that we did not want to make it more of a political type documentary. It's more a documentary about your journey on the road, on the campaign trail, photographing a political figure.
You want to know what I thought the first time I watched it, Stephen?
What?
I am so amazing. I am so good. This makes me look so good.
You're welcome.
Can I have a videographer on the road with me at all times? Because I look amazing.
Look at me.
Oh my God, I do such cool work. Look at me. I got great photos and look good. Look at my arms.
Every time I would edit a section, I'm like, Jared's going to fucking love this. It's all about him. It's the Jared Show.
I like the Jared Show. It's amazing.
The nature of it being a political figure in general, it's still controversial just by having a political figure in the video. And that's all.
Yeah.
So I think This is Controversial could have worked.
But it would have breeded negativity right off the bat.
But it definitely would have breeded, yes, correct. So it would have asked for negative comments instantly.
In comparison, I put up the Bernie audio commentary, but that did like 9,000 views. So
granted, it's a 3+ hour long video, so I don't blame people for not watching.
It is, but
or listening.
It's not like it got into the search results. This video. So we ended up going with This Needs to Be Seen. So I liked to go with this part because this changes everything did really well. That was a good video. There were a couple of others where we used this as well. And so I went, This Needs to Be Seen. And then we used a thumbnail of me nondescriptly looking straight ahead.
And you put both of them together, and as you're scrolling through your YouTube subscription feed or browsing YouTube for a recommended feed, you will see this, and it's so vague, you kind of need to click on it to see what it's about.
Right. And
it's unfortunate that we have to do that, but we do have to play that game.
Right. And I went on YouTube, the community tab, which we never use, and I went on Instagram, and I posted 2 titles for people to vote on. And I don't.
Oh, you posted it on YouTube too.
I did, and I deleted them both. But in total, it was over 500, 600 votes in the 20 minutes I left it up, and it was 63% to less, right? To 30-something% to 63 and 34, 35, 36, 36%. So it was the same on YouTube as it was on Instagram that people actually liked This Needs to Be Seen. And I don't normally ask people, but it actually helped me with my decision of saying that I didn't want to go negative, and I just didn't. You know that. I told you in my gut, I don't like this title. I know I came up with it. I know you like it, but I don't want to do it because 1, I don't feel it's controversial, and 2, it just breeds negativity right off the rip. We will be changing the title when the views die down, which they're at about 500 plus an hour right now, which I guess isn't bad.
They were just 800 when I just checked right before the show.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Let me look at this. You saying that
800 something?
You're saying 800?
It ticked back up.
It ticked back up 700. Okay, well that's higher than the 500. So that what that means, Stephen. That means that RAWtalk. That means Photo News Fix is going to get held till tomorrow, just so we don't kill the reach of this.
I think it's probably people right now in, say, overseas in Europe that are maybe getting home from work and now they have time to sit down and watch a 50-minute video, because that's the issue is it's a 50-minute video and you're not going to get stop someone in their tracks as they're scrolling through their feed on, say, their lunch break or quickly during work, because they can't sit down and watch a full 50-minute video right then and there. They have to reserve time later on in the day or right before bed or maybe even another day on the weekend.
Though some people did say, I'm at work and I probably shouldn't be watching this, but this was incredible. Actually,
I definitely think people will get sucked in and watch.
Look, we're looking at the analytics right now on the back end. Do you see the tilt up? Over the gray line, which is normal? It's actually on a better trajectory than our normal videos. It just ticked up, and I don't know why. It's not like we did anything different. It says, great news, compared to your other videos, views for this video are up 11%. So we have good views. We've got unbelievable watch time. We've lost 46 subscribers so far, and it's generated $206.47 in estimated revenue, which was only covering just 1 day of revenue. Now, the important numbers are the click-through rate, the impression click-through rate. That was like 14% the day it launched. Right now it's at 9.5%,
I believe it.
which is still really good. So this is a little behind the scenes of analytics, but the click-through rate is good. That means when they serve it to someone, YouTube, how many people are clicking? So 9.5% of people they serve it to are clicking. The higher the click-through rate, the more YouTube knows that they should show it to people. And to go in combination with that, the more people that click and continue to watch long-term, get good view watch time on it, that again tells YouTube that this is good. And before you talk, Steven, I was watching a Mr. Beast.
I'm waiting.
A Mr. Beast short before this, and they were asking, like, how did Mr. Beast beat the algorithm? He's like, well, it's kind of simple. It comes down to, do you have a good click-through rate? And then do people stay a long time to watch your videos?
It's what we've always said.
And so that's why we chose a title that was pretty vague. This needs to be seen, because we knew that regardless of who clicked on it, even if it's clickbaity, we know that when people click on our videos, they are more than likely going to stay and engage with it because our clickbait delivers every single time. And that's
except the only issue is we can get them to click on it, but can we get them to stick around? Because instantly, the first second of the video, you just see Bernie. So you know exactly what it is, which is kind of unfortunate if you want to kind of get people to watch the whole thing, even a couple minutes. But
sure,
for those that absolutely hate Bernie, they're going to click out right away.
If they watch the first 3 minutes, we've seen it in the comment.
Hopefully, yeah.
We've seen it in the comment section that people are like, I'm not a Bernie fan, and I didn't think that I would sit through 50 minutes of this, but this was incredible. This was amazing. You even got an email from my dad.
I was shocked. I texted you a screenshot of it, and I'm like, Jared, I got an email from Len Polin. What? He's never once reached out to me personally. Obviously in person, we've seen him with dinners and stuff like that, and he's always thanked me for everything I've done, but I've never gotten a response from him from a specific video that we've posted. So I right then and there, I'm like, wow, Jared's dad must really like it.
Yeah. What was it, from his Gmail or was it from his AOL account? Because
I don't know. It was sent from his phone, I'll tell you that.
Oh, if it was sent, I don't know which one he's logged into. I've tried to get him to, not use AOL anymore, but that's what he's... Anyway, most places don't even accept AOL as an email address anymore. They will bounce it back. But yeah, the comments have been very good, and we will change the title when it dies down. But 700 views an hour.
It was his AOL. I just looked.
Of course it was. 700 views an hour is still pretty good. If we get it to 100,000, we're already happy.
I'd be very happy if we can go with 100,000.
We're already happy where it is, because we knew that if we named it Bernie Sanders Documentary, it would have gotten about 11,000 views, unfortunately.
And I saw a couple of people posted that, like, you should have just named it what it was. I would have watched it, but it's like, yeah, I understand
you would.
A lot of people will watch it,
but you would have never seen it.
Exactly, you would have.
It wouldn't have even been. You wouldn't have even seen it in your recommended feed.
Correct.
That's the thing, and so
you have to play the game.
It's a really good piece of content.
Yeah.
Well, we do hate the game. We really do. What else do you want to talk about with this? Because there is part of the game I want to talk about with Instagram and TikTok and Reel and Shorts as well at some point.
Well, I just want to get into some of the behind the scenes making of the documentary, just in terms of like the beginning and the end. Like, we kind of had the meat of the entire thing done, and the hard part for me, making a creative decision on how it's going to start and how it's going to end. Like, the ending I didn't do until probably that last week, because I just didn't know what to do, because for us it ended. You know, we were on the trail for 2 days and then it just ended. But how do you wrap it up?
I absolutely love the ending that you came up with when I saw that.
Well, I agree. Because initially we were just going to put some text up, say what happened after the fact, COVID-19, Bernie lost, whatever, end. But we had filmed all this additional pickup B-roll that I was going to use throughout the documentary to kind of piece the whole thing through and really showcase that you're a photographer, a professional photographer with all these metal prints and hanging prints from the road. And at first I would kind of flash back to like you at the studio printing it out, and then I would come back on the road and then go back to you at the studio. But it just really took you out of the documentary, and it didn't feel right. So I went through a lot of re-edits for that portion, and eventually I just ripped it all out. And I still really wanted to use it because some of that B-roll I thought was super cinematic. We took a lot of time and effort to really film that stuff. And I just thought it looked great. And it told a good story with, again, you being a professional photographer. So I kind of thought about this idea of let's wrap it up with finish the story, say what's on the screen, COVID-19 happened, the campaigns came to a grinding halt, et cetera, and then cut back and forth to kind of you being stuck in the studio. You're printing all the pictures from the trip and just saying like you don't know what's going to happen to you down the road, but right now I'll just keep shooting, stuff like that, and then roll credits. But initially, again, it was just going to be here's what happened after roll credits, done. But I really think it told a great story wrapping it up that way.
And by credits, Steven really means Steven Eckert, editor, Steven Eckert, producer, Steven Eckert, director. Though I think we should have been co-directors, to be honest with you. We both directed, but you directed the edit.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's zero directing from you with the edit work.
Well, with the editing.
And the script as well. Like I had to chop all of that up and rearrange it all.
I wrote that when someone left a comment about the script, I'm like, I wrote the script, and then Steven and I went through every single line of that and worked on it together, trying to pick the right words. Yeah. So it was definitely a joint.
Because what we didn't want it to be was like the real world review that we normally do where you're literally saying what's happening on the screen. We did not want it to be like that. Maybe some parts of it, yes, but...
You know, my fear was that I was going to come across like I was reading. I think after watching it, the final issue...
I fought you so hard on that.
I think it sounded good. I think it sounded fine. Some parts, it's like, yeah, I'm definitely reading, but... I think
to you, it sounds like you're really reading because you know yourself, you know how you present and all that. But I think to the general audience, especially people that don't know you, I don't think it comes across as reading at all. And the other issue that we kind of went back and forth on is I wanted you to kind of look at off camera, off the screen, where you wanted to talk directly into the camera. Remember, we kind of went back and forth on that a lot. But being a true documentary, I wanted you to kind of look away off screen as if like I'm questioning you or something like that.
Yeah, I got you. That worked out.
And I think that really worked out well. And then just other stuff just regarding like shooting the actual documentary was one of the hardest things for me personally because, again, it was just me. We did have Josh Hansen, who was credited at the end. He's the lost shooter.
He's the lost Hansen brother from the band. He's just the sound guy on the side now.
So he was the shooter for the Bernie campaign, one of the shooters, actually. So some of the B-roll in... the doc was his, but I mean, maybe like 5%, if that. But anything that I didn't have coverage of, I would kind of steal his stuff.
And that stuff did actually look good. I could see it. You could see it in near the end, the Colorado stuff. So anything where someone is walking through and doing video of the people at a campaign, that would have been Josh on a gimbal walking and getting
not
people.
all of it, but yes, a lot of it.
But the one in Colorado where you see me pop up, so going through the pit in Colorado and getting Bernie, you can actually see Josh there from Steven's angle in the back.
Yep.
You can see him in the pit after the TV show, like Steven cuts to the TV part, and then us coming up on stage, you can actually see Josh walking through, which was actually the shot that happened a little bit before you would have seen it. But here, you take it even deeper. Why did you use a Nikon Z6?
Well, at the time, that's all we were shooting with, really. Was a Nikon Z6, and it just had come out maybe a few months prior, and I did really like it.
No, it was probably out for 2 years at that point.
It was late 2019 when we filmed.
Right.
So when did it come out? 2018.
We did that whole Nikon Z6 trip. Let me go to.
When did the Z6 II was not out yet?
When did Z6 come out? Let's see if Ken Rockwell's website comes up. It came out November 23rd, so it was already out for a year.
Not even.
Well, not even a year, like 8-9 months, which means...
So pretty new, yeah.
Guess what wasn't out yet? The R5 or the R6.
Correct. The R5, R6 came out in July of 2020, I believe.
And so you chose it was your choice to take a Z6. So what was that like?
I think I debated with the A7 III too, but at the time the Z6 was a lot newer, obviously. The only issue with the Z6 is the focus. I mean, you can see it in some of the slow motion shots in the dock. It's hunting back and forth. And I had to really play with the dials and buttons to come with custom. I would lock in a lot of the time. Like if I was following you, instead of letting continuous focus do its thing, which would normally kind of rack back and forth and try and, search for you, hunt for you, I would just lock it in and know my distance. I would stay, say, 5 feet right behind you, and I just wouldn't leave that 5 feet distance marker.
So it was a big challenge.
Because then I knew it would just be in focus. It was a big challenge, but I will say I've always loved the quality of the Z6 when it comes to footage.
The cinematic look, it really does look good. What lens were you 24-70 or 24-105?
I was probably 24-105 f4 if I had to guess. I mean, I love prime lenses, but running and gunning, I mean, you never know what's going to get thrown at you, so I'd rather be prepared.
Yeah, it's pretty. So I always come back to, this is what I come back to as Steven and I as a team. We're like that lead singer and guitar player combination that everybody has. The Bret Michaels and CeCe DeVille and the
Edge and Bono.
Edge and Bono and who else? David Lee Roth, Bon Jovi, and who was that other guy they kicked out of the band?
I don't recall.
Richie Sambora. And other people are like Aerosmith. You got Steven Tyler and Perry. And then you've got
I think
Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Okay. I still am fascinated with the fact that we're able to produce something that, in my opinion, is TV worthy. Well, TV is different now, but documentary worthy, quality wise, with with just us, mostly Steven for most of this stuff on that. But the fact that we are able to, as quote unquote YouTubers, go out and pull something off like this, the way that it looks, the way that it's edited, the way that it, the photos, everything, the entire schmagegi is incredible that we are capable of doing that. Because every time I not every time I work with other people, but when you work with other shooters and you work with other editors and other production companies, and I put production companies in air quotes, you sit there and you're like, are you fucking kidding me? This is how you operate and this is how you work and this is the quality garbage you put out?
I've always found production companies and other shooters and to be very overconfident almost. And then you see the final result and you're like, really? That's what you filmed? You had all that crazy expensive gear and you filmed that? Meanwhile, we have one Z6 and natural light and we're running and gunning and it looks pretty cinematic. We can do it on our own. We can pull it off. The only issue is it takes a lot longer because we're very limited with assets, with footage, with B-roll, with all of that. I had to make it look like it was multiple shooters. I had to, steal other shots. I had to crop in on a lot of shots to make it look like it was two shooters. I had to get all kinds of coverage of you. So I would go wide, I'd go far away and zoom in, I'd go over the shoulder. I'd do all full coverage to try and make it appear that there was multiple shooters on the road and to have everything I can possibly, work on after the fact and post.
So why did it take almost 3 years, Steven?
This is what annoys me is some people I saw in the comment section were like, really? It took 2-3 years to do this? And it's like, I didn't literally work on it every day for 3 years. No way.
It probably could have been done in a couple of months if it was nonstop.
Correct. This is in between hundreds of YouTube videos. I mean, we probably, in the past 3 years, how many YouTube videos do you think we uploaded?
At least 300.
Yeah, hundreds. That's the thing, is we're trying to keep this afloat, the YouTube brand, the whole YouTube side of things, and then in the meantime, try to finish this documentary and to get out of it and then dive back in after months or weeks is so hard, just because you then have to piece everything back together and see where you left off at and what you have left footage wise. I mean, you really end up almost forgetting, like, what did I do? I have to rewatch it again. I have to do all, so it took a while because of that. And then the past few weeks we were just like, all right, let's finish this thing. We have to.
Yeah. So that had to get done. For anybody wondering, I used the Sony A7R4. It was the first time that I went out into the real world. Well,
it just came out.
The camera wasn't even out yet. It showed up on my doorstep about 2 days before we left for the trip. It wasn't even, it was announced, but it wasn't out yet. And I told them...
Was it a production copy?
It was a production unit. But if anybody notices when I'm shooting vertical, I don't have a vertical grip on because they didn't have one in the country yet. I noticed
that was the new body. I forgot.
It was the new body design. So there was no vertical grip. So I look like an amateur in vertical at the beginning when I'm shooting Bernie in the first clutch. I'm like, oh, shit.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I did. Huh. I thought about it. Why am I was waiting for the comments for people to be like, why were you not using a grip?
That didn't jump out to me at all. Yeah.
Because grips didn't exist yet. And so I chose to take that, and I've talked about this a bunch before, is that the Z7 at the time just couldn't cut it. And we ended up being proven correct now that no, the Z7 couldn't cut it then, and it still doesn't cut it now. And I made the right decision to take a camera that had IAF, lock-on tracking, 61 megapixels. It was a little slow at roughly 5.5 to 6 frames a second.
And you still didn't, at the time, fully trust IAF. You were kind of just transitioning into that IAF world.
I was.
And because if you recall, then the portrait of Bernie, you initially didn't use IAF and it locked on the glasses. And then you switched into it.
Well, the reason I didn't is you and I tested the night before, but you weren't wearing glasses the night before. And I thought if I get this close, I have to turn off IAF because it might not work great. And obviously we saw what happened there. For anybody, spoilers, the IAF missed. And I've talked about it before, locked on his glasses. Sorry, the IAF was off. The focus locked on his glasses, didn't find his eye, got the chance to do it again, turned the IAF back on, and nailed it in 3 seconds. And that's the stuff. That's why I took that camera. Just because it allowed me to do things that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do, unfortunately, with the Nikon. And that's not just trying to bash Nikon. It was just the right choice. And even up to 20 minutes, 30 minutes before Bernie got there, I had 2 cameras with me. I had the A9, because the A9 II wasn't out yet, and I had the A7R4. And I thought maybe the A9 would be the right choice, but I did a quick picture of Steven, same ISOs in both cameras, even though one's 20 megapixels and the other is 61. I thought the 61 held up perfectly fine, and my decision was made, and I stuck with it for the rest of that 48 hours.
The only thing with the ISO, and we kind of talked about this right before we did the final export, and you kind of almost went back and re-edited some of the images. I just feel like it kind of falls apart, the A7 IV. If you push it a little high,
it definitely
5,000 and up, it's a little iffy.
Well, it definitely did. And so the thing that made it look worse in Lightroom, and maybe it's just Lightroom processing, was shadows. If you raised your shadows, that's really introduced more noise than anything else. So when I left the shadows down and went up with exposure and then contrast a little bit, things got much tighter and much better. So that was good.
Back to shooting, the other difficult part about shooting someone like you is I can't, we're trying to do a documentary, which typically you're everywhere in a documentary. You're shooting every little thing and you're running around like a madman. I couldn't get in front of you. That was the other thing. I was trying to film a photographer who was taking photos. So that was the tough part. I had to always shoot you profile or from the back, or I'd have to cheat it after the fact. You'd already done the shoot, and I would have to be like, hold on, stay there. Let me get in front of you. Yep. Make it look like this and that. And
I did. So I listened to you.
That's what's really tough about photographing or filming you.
Well, I actually listened to you. Like when I went through the curtain, you had me look through the curtain. Then you're like, and I've been listening to you a hell of a lot better in the last couple of years.
I directed.
He erected me. But it's true. I've been listening a lot better because I know what you need to make your shot.
And me as a working photographer myself, I know when there's no time and you just have to get the shot. So I know when the moment's over to then ask, not to stop you in your tracks right then and there when something is still actively going on. I know I have to let you shoot, do your thing, always get photos first. That's always been crucial here at Frono's Photo. It's like photography first, video second.
Yeah. Any other things you want to get into about the documentary?
Well, just calling it a documentary for me was always questionable because there's no real behind the scenes audio and that kind of stuff going on. There's no interviews with Bernie or his camp. And yes, it is a documentary to a certain extent, but a lot of that stuff was missing and we had very limited audio. I mean, I think I only had the actual speech clips of Bernie talking. I don't think I had any actual behind the scenes real clips besides that Walgreens when you were talking about the portrait.
Make it quick.
Because a lot of the conversations he had were in private with his deputy
there it is. Deputy campaign manager.
Deputy campaign manager, Ari, the one guy with the hat. And the one guy that was taking all the selfies and everything. Hey. A lot of those conversations were in private, so we didn't really have any of the real true behind the scenes of Bernie being Bernie with his campaign.
If you kind of want a different look at the campaign, Ari Rabenhoff did write a book that is now 52% off. It's $12.90. It's $12.89 on Amazon. It's called The Fighting Soul: On the Road with Bernie Sanders. I read the book. I bought the book because obviously we were on the road. So I wanted to see what was in there that I would have recognized, and it follows very true to suit for what we saw. And so if you want to know a little bit more about this campaign, because you're interested in seeing a behind the scenes look from Ari's standpoint. Ari is a writer. He's written books, and he ran the campaign as a deputy, or he didn't run the campaign, but he was high up there as a deputy campaign manager. He has a book called The Fighting Soul: On the Road with Bernie Sanders. It's $12.89. You'll have it tomorrow. Oh, no, you won't, because you're not listening to this until Friday. But yeah, you could order that if you're interested. It's a good read. I thought it was informative. It talks about why they think they lost the campaign, talks about how they thought they were close to winning the whole thing, and then all of that.
Yeah, I mean, again, he was the one actually having all the private conversations with Bernie, so I'm sure, I mean, I didn't read the book, but I'm sure there's a lot of private discussions that nobody knows except him and Bernie.
Private eyes.
And the other thing is, regarding audio, music selection was one of the hardest things for me too, is to try and find something that was really interesting and really moved and held the tension of the moment of what was going on to really, move the documentary forward and keep people engaged. And I really wanted music to be a big thing in this.
And I do want to point out that you did a lot of great audio additions.
Sound
Foley,
effects.
basically Foley.
A lot of Foley, yeah, a lot of sound effects. Thank you, Epidemic Sound. Thank you, Music Bed. Thank you, Audio Blocks. All of that. So I tried to make a true soundscape in certain scenes. I really wanted to let it shine where there's almost no audio and you just let it breathe. I tried to go back and forth and go, ebbs and flows. There was hills and valleys. There were a lot of moments that would go real crazy, and then all of a sudden it would be a very calming moment, and then real crazy just to really keep people engaged.
I will say, on my 9.1 surround sound, when I was listening to the part where it's like I'm in the zone and I'm breathing, it was coming out of the left channel and not the right channel. I could hear it.
I think I panned it.
Okay. It was interesting because I watched it on my big screen, and it looked, was really good. All right. So
there's a lot of panning left and right, and a lot of sound effects that I would, if you listen with headphones, for example, or a crazy sound system like Jared, you'll really hear the nuances and the little details into the audio work.
So it is like, Steven had to do a lot. He edited, but he's also an audio engineer, shooter, editor, audio engineer, predator. It's amazing what we were, the moral of the story is, it's amazing we had the opportunity, for one, and two, the ability as a small team to actually pull this shit off, to show people. Because even when I'm dealing with certain production companies today, I'm like, well, that's what you guys do? I'm like, I can do that. That's the other thing, is coming to the realization that, holy fuck, we are literally a production company for me.
There's a lot with the production companies, everyone has a very specific role. Camera operator is just a camera operator and usually doesn't handle sound at all. Sound just handles sound and doesn't handle cameras or anything else or lighting at all.
And I wasn't mic'd up at all.
If you recall, when we did, I think the Grand Canyon, Matt Jaffe, one of the camera operators that helped shoot that, he was like, oh, I don't do audio. I'm camera only. Because I remember talking to him like, well, someone's got to do audio.
This was 2015.
I think I ended up trying to do both at the time, doing sound and camera, which was not easy. I know
you would set the audio bag down, get it preset
and
for
run over
audio,
and pick up the camera, essentially.
Yeah.
Talking about sound and audio, I also wanted to credit myself on the Bernie doc with sound and camera operator, and I'm like, I can't literally list myself 20 times, so I'm just gonna the most basic stuff: director, editor, whatever.
Well, it's certainly a lot better than the music choice in the Grand Canyon show, because it still pisses me off to this day when the drone goes up and it's this really cheesy,
it's like the cheesiest music ever,
like instrumental bullshit of like, this is amazing, and it's like, this song sucks. Not to mention the lack of color correction. I watched it again the other day. People wanted to see a good video, so I showed them that, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's like no color correction done. There's no tone. There's no contrast. I'm like, the sky's anyway.
I still think it felt like a show, though, a real show.
Oh, it does. It's a great show.
It was good.
It's a really good episode. But even that, to showcase what we were capable of doing with two people on the road, not counting Todd because he was, producing from the road. Anyway, another thing about the Bernie documentary is I said to Steven, I'm like, it's been out for 2 days and it hasn't shown up on Petapixel yet.
Oh.
And I know why. I know why it hasn't shown up on Petapixel, but I even sent it over to the founder of Petapixel, the person that owns it, Michael Zhang. I sent that this morning, and it hasn't shown up as of the time of recording this. It is possible that it might, and we're recording on Wednesday at the exact time is 2:23 on Wednesday the 10th. It hasn't come yet, and they've already had 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, typically
5,
by now they're done posting for the day.
6, 7, 8 fucking posts, 9 posts, 10 posts so far.
I think they try and hit 10 a day is what I've noticed.
10 posts. Like, give me the old Petapixel. The old Petapixel was 2 to 3 valuable stories that actually meant something to the photo community. Literally, the last one posted, satellite imagery reveals at Antarctic ice loss is double previous estimates. So basically, they're pulling at straws on what constitutes photo news. Because this one says satellite imagery, they're counting that as worthy of photo news, which it's really not. But the thing is, they might send me an email back and be like, well, this is too political. We can't post this. And to that end, I would scroll back to yesterday or a couple days ago, when they're like, here's a photo of Donald Trump's toilet of purportedly, here it is, photos alleged Trump tried to dispose of documents by flushing them.
Which is way more of a political post than the Bernie documentary.
Well, of course. And what's that have to do with photography other than someone took a picture of a fucking toilet with torn up documents in it? Like, that should not be. It's a little bit of a stretch. That shouldn't be on Petapixel. That shouldn't be there at all. So the thing is, if they don't end up posting it, which, hey, there it is. Just kidding. It's not there. if they do end up in the next day or two doing it, maybe
then we'll rip this whole section out.
We won't rip it out. Maybe. Oh, well, I don't know what we'll end up doing, but it's just interesting. I know the reason why Petapixel really doesn't share our stuff anymore, which is fine, but
love him or hate him, Jared Polin.
That was F-Stoppers always did that.
F-Stoppers, yeah.
But at the end of the day, there is no more thing that's called a Petapixel bump, because it just doesn't exist anymore. Back in the day, Petapixel was, in my opinion, much larger and held more value as a news resource. But now they're just a massive news aggregator putting up a lot of terrible stories, which is very similar to what F-Stoppers has done. F-Stoppers went a direction where they just put everything and anything up, even with like terrible 2 paragraphs. Like, they'll put 2 paragraphs up and call it a story.
What they need to do is pivot and almost start moving away from just the editorial only written text format. Start moving towards video and podcasting and stuff like that, where, F-Stoppers did that. DP Review obviously did that very successfully with Jordan and Chris. They need to have their own YouTube channel where they actually have hosts and reviews.
Exactly.
And
being stuck in this world of, we do blog posts, but you're not making actual video and being where people are.
They're an aggregator.
You're a news website. I do Photo News Fix.
Exactly. They could have had their own take, a style of something like that.
Yeah, they tried to do the podcast thing. They have someone who did do a podcast for them. I don't think it comes out on any kind of schedule anymore. But it's just that if I was Petapixel, which I'm not, my recommendation to the editor-in-chief of Petapixel would be get into doing video. No one really cares about these articles, especially like, let's read the last couple articles.
Well, supplement the articles with video.
Exactly.
Or vice versa.
Satellite imagery reveals Antarctic ice loss is double previous estimates. Scientists reveal new info on giant jets of lightning in the atmosphere. These Canon cameras are actually Transformers robots in disguise.
I just watched that Transformers one. That's pretty sweet.
Is it real?
They're going for $150. There's pre-orders up now, coming out in February, and I think it's only in Japan though. There's no international release.
Well,
a toy company basically made these little Canon mock-up cameras that turn into Transformers.
What'd that sound like, Steven?
Nope. Not going there.
Wait. I got to. Actually, I'm listening to it in my ears right now. Oh, there it is. But it's a typical Japanese style commercial. It's like, out there. It's like, I'm not even going to attempt to do it because I don't want to be sent off to cancellation town today.
Moving on.
I just want to buy this. No, the business is called Takatomi. I didn't do it.
I know. I checked it out.
Bad way, Steven. It says Takatomi. I think I'm going to have to ask someone in Japan to order that. Can I pre-order it, Steven?
Again, it says no international release, so you might be able to order it, but I doubt it ships here.
Well, I'm going to ask Madeline K. Wait.
It says Canon hired this toy company, so it's obviously a collaboration of some sort.
Wait. If Canon hired them, I'm sending an email right now. Hi.
Can you get me 1 or 2 of those, please?
Yeah, hold on. You keep talking. You talk, Steven.
Hey, if it was an actual international release, I would buy them in a heartbeat. Even though they are $150, which is a decent chunk of change. I wish they were more like $50, but it is pretty cool to have something like that on, your desk.
I'm saying, can we buy 2 of these from Japan with the help of Canon Japan, please?
Yeah. If he wants money, I'll gladly pay for them.
Email sent over to Roberta L. Okay, so that one actually matters. Let me see what other articles here. How to crop in Photoshop. So they've been doing this a lot. They've been trying to do educational stuff, but I'm not like you can see what articles do well by how many comments they have.
Yes.
I mean, this is like a super intensive. It has 0 comments. 0.
Well, how was the Trump one?
Oh, I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a minute. Magnum
Yep.
Photo marks its 75th anniversary with unseen photos. Stop pretending you're upset that point and shoots are dead. Samsung updates its foldable with Galaxy Z Fold 4 and Flip 4, which really has nothing to do with photography. Photographer captures Spirit Black Bear with rare white coat. Tech Art's second gen Leica, the Jolly Look pinhole is a DIY bellows camera. That could be something. Rare Photo captures.
I actually backed the original Jolly Look Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I have it right here, actually. Yeah.
Okay. And then there's Rare Photo captures noctilescent clouds and Aurora Borealis together. He actually does. Steven is holding it up.
And notice it's still in the box it came in. I never actually used it.
You're a pinhole, Steven. So let me go down to the photos allege Trump tried to dispose of documents by flushing them. Let me see how many comments this has. This has only 35.
While you're at it.
Seriously?
Yeah, but 35 is a lot.
Seriously, get this crap off Petapixel. And then someone wrote, a huge problem here on Petapixel is that these kinds of articles actually get more engagement compared to when a legitimate photography post is made.
Yeah, but it's because people are complaining about the post.
Yeah. Why is
they're not engaging in a positive way?
Why is this a Petapixel news story? I second the sentiment. Why is this shit on Petapixel? Guys, do better. I come here to learn about photography, not play politics, which to be fair, is very similar to what we hear or heard when I did anything Bernie related, except for the fact that I made sure that just because it's Bernie, again, doesn't mean that it's political. It's political because it's a politician, but we're not talking politics. Whatever. Since we're on this topic of Petapixel, they put up an article the other day that said, film school. Yes, it says, film school goes bankrupt despite raising $410,000 on Kickstarter. And it was called The Garage Learning. I'm going to read the article. I might as well, right? We cited the source, so we can do that.
Yeah.
Steve Geralt's The Garage Learning Film School raised over $410,000 on Kickstarter in 2020, but now is just under 2 years later, the business has filed for bankruptcy as the idea did not work out as planned, quote, end quote. So basically what happened is this guy was he's a New York City-based director, visual engineer, and founder of a production company, The Garage, launched Garage Learning as a crowdfunding endeavor in the fall of 2022.
Is visual engineer just another fancy word for camera operator?
Yeah, camera operator.
Yeah.
The idea was to provide a mammoth amount of resources for filmmakers of all skill levels to allow them to create content to the level he and his team have been reaching for years. So basically, bankruptcy, it says, but now not everything went according to plan. On July 30th, 2022, just shy of 2 years after the launch of the campaign, Geralt announced the Garage Learning Inc. was filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Then he actually talked to Petapixel. Geralt tells Petapixel that Garage Learning has not had any employees since September of 2021 and says he hasn't found a way to breathe life back into the company without employees dedicated to it. I learned a lot of very hard lessons over the last couple of years. Amongst many other challenges, the reality was that the market for this business was not large enough to sustain it as an ongoing business as planned. We set out to accomplish a lot, and in retrospect, we tried to do too much. If I could turn back time, I would absolutely do it differently. Do you want to know how he should have done it differently, Steven?
How?
Not ask the community to raise money for something that doesn't exist for teaching. Start a YouTube channel. Make videos. Make content.
Who does that?
Parker Wallback.
No one's done that before.
Parker fucking Wallback, right? Another Mormon out there in Utah who does learning DSLRs or what? Not learning DSLRs, but learning to shoot video, learn video shooting, whatever. Has made a shit ton of
We've
views.
done a video with him before, right?
We did. I was on his the one where Peter McKinnon won $10,000.
Sony versus Canon or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
trying to tell the difference between these cameras. That's someone who utilized getting views on YouTube to then sell education at like $600 a course or $700 or $800 a course is what they would sell theirs for, which I think is a lot of money. But other people saw value and they would they're obviously in business and they continue to sell. That's how you start a business. You don't sit there and go on Kickstarter and say, hey guys, I got an idea to create this educational thing and raise $410,000 on Kickstarter. Because you want to know how you would have raised $410,000, Steven? You want to know?
I want to know.
If you made a product, a digital product, and sold it. And then you would have taken the money from that to transition that into making more products to then sell more content, right? That's how we did it. Day one. How did I make my money at the very beginning to buy
Beginner Guide?
Beginner Guide. But the Beginner Guide didn't happen.
You had to build up the audience first.
I built the audience first because so many times people are like, oh, well, you have 5,000 people on your email list. I'm like, so? I'm not going to start selling today. I'm going to keep making content. And then I finally released the Frono's Photo Guide to Getting Out of Auto. I was scratching by, making a pretty good, okay living. I think it was like $84,000 maybe in the second year generated, which isn't terrible.
Wait, is that just merch?
A lot of
YouTube revenue, obviously.
Well, YouTube revenue wasn't in existence, so that was nothing. A lot of it was merch, but a big chunk of it was that $24,000 I got from Alan's camera, which was half of the ad revenue that came in. So I was making like $74,000 to $84,000.
Yeah, pretty decent salary
to start. And when the video guide came out, when this Beginner Guide to Getting Out of Auto came out, it was stupid. Like what happened? It was one of the early products to sell digital online. I was under contract to buy a house, right? I paid $4.25. I'll just give the numbers. $4.25 was what I agreed to. I couldn't afford the down payment fully.
I remember when you were buying that house.
Right.
Or
and
loft.
The loft. And my dad was like, I will help you. I've got some extra money from, your mom passed away and her pension and stuff. I will help you do that and you can pay me back. And then the video guide came out. And in the first 2 weeks, I generated $26,000. And I said, Dad, I got it. Right.
Wow.
Like I got it. I got the down payment, which was like $40,000 or $50,000. Well, what's 10%? It was $42,000 or so, right? And so I was able to actually be able to do it because I released that first product, and that product just went on to do anywhere from like $2,000 to $5,000 a day in sales for the next 4 or 5 months. It was insane, but that's because I built up so much goodwill over over 2 years or 2.5 years of producing free videos. People saw value and they bought it. That's how you start a business.
At the time, there were not many other digital guides regarding photography or not many other photographer YouTubers in general.
No, just
free.
Just that one British guy who told me I stole his script for it, which is like...
You mean the basic marketing 101 sales script?
Yeah. Do you wish you had a product like this? I wish I had a product like this when I started because it would have saved me a lot of time.
Video. You stole that from me.
Okay, dude. Okay, boomer.
Yeah, seriously.
Fucking asshole. Oops. How do I really feel, Steven? Anyway,
there's the real Jared right there.
Yeah, that is really me. That's raw. So yeah, film school goes bankrupt despite raising the money. So the moral of the story here is, if you want to start a business, now this isn't saying whether this guy was good or bad. Obviously he was successful in his other business, but when you try to take on too much, I don't ever think that you should reach out to the community to fund very much. Now, with that being said, I did go to Kickstarter for the Bernie photo book, but everybody knows this, that the Bernie photo book was getting made regardless of, I already ordered it before the Kickstarter went live. So
it was more, you wanted to just gauge how many should you order,
Well, it was more, the whole idea was that I was hoping that it would branch outside of the Frono's photo universe, and it didn't. But that was what I wanted. But yeah, no, I went to Kickstarter for that. I will not do a Patreon. I will not do a GoFundMe. I will not ask people to fund my business.
And I think the difference with Kickstarter is you're actually giving them a tangible physical product that they're buying into, essentially, or hoping to buy into if it gets made, where GoFundMe or Patreon is more like begging for money, in my opinion. Like, please just fund my journey and not get anything out of it.
Well, so let's see. We had set $400,000 as our minimum target to be able to get this company off the ground. After failed backer payments, credit card fees, and Kickstarter fees, we actually received $369,382.83, he explains. After paying the PR company who helped run the campaign and for the campaign expenses, we were down to $324,884. So they went down. They spent $40,000 on that, and I probably know who they used. I'm pretty sure they would have used that company called, is it Jellup?
I think you're right, yeah.
Because I tried to use them and ended up paying them nothing, by the way, because I didn't think it made sense. I didn't think that what they were doing, the way they run it, because I tried to work with them because I know that Peak Design worked with them, and Peak Design has raised a shit ton of money
many successful campaigns
via those guys, and they take a cut of what you raise, and you have to still pay the expenses for what they spent on Facebook. I think I talked with the guy, and they're an Israeli company, and they were very pushy, because that's what Israelis generally are.
I was going to say.
Like, really freaking pushy, and I was really hesitant to use them. We tried it, and then I canceled it real fast, and they didn't charge me for the stuff they did, because it just wasn't going to work. It just wasn't going to work what they were doing. Part of what happened is, YouTube, Facebook gave me so much shit trying to onboard this by calling it political. Like, this is a political ad. I'm like, it's not a political ad. It's a photography thing. So I finally got that all set up and worked out, and it ended up not working out. But anyway, this guy trying to raise the money, I feel bad, but I also am like, now all these people who backed this lose out on their money.
What were the backers getting in return for funding this?
I think there was a physical product they were going to get, something that he created that was physical, but also education. COVID delays.
So like a guide of some sort?
Yes. Videos to like creative lifestyle videos. Gerald says that the delays in the supply chain
I haven't heard them in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. Caused by the COVID-19 pandemic hurt his timeline and eventually his ability to deliver physical products. I don't even think... Post-campaign finance issues. Despite the massive success of the Kickstarter campaign, the Garage Learning still needed more in order to sustain itself. Like, all of this to sustain yourself is before you've even created any product. So you need to start small. And I bring this up, and I don't know any names, so it's good I can bring this up. I got an email the other day about someone who's like, I love the Bernie doc. You do a great job. This is awesome. And then it goes into, I have a business and I'm looking to expand my business. Will you support my GoFundMe? And if you don't support it, will you share it out for me? And I ignored it because I don't like those emails. That's digital begging. I don't believe in that at all. And I got a second one back today, like, hey, have you had a chance to look? And I was just like, look, I'm going to be blunt. I don't think you should be running a GoFundMe to raise money to expand your business. The way you expand your business is by making more money and then expanding your business because it needs to expand, but not looking for people to donate money for nothing in return. Like, I have no problem donating to certain things, but I'm not going to donate to someone who wants to expand their business. Make your money to expand your business. If you need to beg for the money, then your business isn't doing well enough, unfortunately. So my advice to the person was, make more money running your business. That's how you expand your business. I'm just going to be blunt and say it because someone has to fucking say it.
Well, and the unfortunate part is you share that, you do it once, you help one person out, then you're going to have a flood of emails coming in saying, hey, can you free money for me? And hey, can you share my GoFundMe project, my Kickstarter, my whatever? And it just never ends.
We did a GoFundMe for Jaleel.
Correct.
To help raise money.
Much different circumstance.
Yeah, to raise money for a wheelchair because he was getting jerked around by the government and by Medicare and all of it. So anyway, we raised a good amount of money for that to get him a new wheelchair. He actually was able to get a new one and fix his old one, which I think he ended up donating to some other person in need. And then we also helped him raise money to get a van because his van was totaled and we were able to get him a van. So he has a new van. It's not new, but he has a better van than what he had before, which was shocking. First time Jaleel drives up to my house. Jaleel, how are you driving? You have no legs.
It blew my mind. I'm like, wait, what?
It was like
Jaleel in the wheelchair. How is he driving? He can't literally move his legs.
It was like, Lieutenant Dan, you have no legs.
His setup is amazing though. In the van, yeah, it's all hand controls, and on top of that, the way that he can open the door himself, let himself in through the sliding door, and then up to the front seat all by himself.
Well, first off, let me paint that picture a little better, Stephen. He gets into the passenger side of the car. So he opens up the door, rolls his wheelchair to a position where he can hop up into the passenger side, then has the sliding door of the van open on the right-hand side. He reaches around to lift the chair into the back of the van. Then he shuts both doors. Then he has to hop across the Marianas Trench and get into his seat. That's how he gets into the car. It's unbelievable to watch that happen.
It really is.
It's both amazing and it's also upsetting.
It is. It's very upsetting.
Because to get a van that has the ability for him to ride up his wheelchair in and lock his wheelchair in place so he can drive while sitting in it, they're like $100,000. The retrofits are just like $60,000 on top of the cost of the van.
Oh, easily. Yep.
Okay.
You wanted to talk more about the Reels and TikToks, right?
I do. I want to get into that. I know we're deep into this discussion, so we got time. We'll probably save a lot of this. I'll fill you in. We've been working with a kid. He's 24. He's out in LA who edits TikToks and Reels and shorts for other companies. And someone put me in touch with him because I want someone to help edit some of the Reels, some of the TikToks, some of the shorts, and follow Steven's lead on what Steven did. And so we work with this kid, and I hired him for a month to test it out. And he's doing a good job. Like, he really caught on quick. He's got a good workflow. He's got good communication.
Great communication. Solid editor, yeah.
Right, and he's really good in Premiere. Steven likes a lot of that because Steven's very particular with a lot of this stuff. But my problem right now is that it just feels like we are chasing numbers. It's just numbers. Like, when I open TikTok, I want to see how many views did our last reel get. When I open Instagram, how many views did our reel get? Right? When I open Shorts, I want to see how many views did it get. And the reason we're trying it is because we want to try and get eyeballs that are outside of our norm, which is possible. New eyeballs, which is possible. But I also don't like the game of trying to play this system and pick the right song, or let's do the video without audio and then try to sync it up by attaching "My Money Don't Jingle Jingle, It Folds," and having that catch the algorithm so that it spreads out more. That's not enjoyable and fun. I think our Reels and Shorts are honestly better than 99% of the people out there. The scripted ones that we read and then edit, those are amazing 60-second pieces of content, but this isn't enjoyable or fun to even go through this process. I don't like the idea that I know for a fact that we're chasing numbers, that it's not about, well, one, it's about quality, but it's about just trying to play the system and try to game the system right now, which is, well, Instagram wants Reels. Okay, so we need to do those. TikTok, we're just throwing the stuff on TikTok because why not? We already have it. I'm not going to put them up all as shorts because I don't want to devalue our real content on YouTube. That's why you won't see a lot of shorts from us. We've refused to do a lot of shorts.
The ones we did do earned us a decent amount of subscribers, right?
Yeah,
short-wise?
The short,
because that's kind of what we're looking more for, is more for new subscribers versus, how many views did it get?
Right. It's all about the subscriber. But so, yeah, if we go to the Christian Yelich one that has, on Instagram, that one got like 800,000 views. On YouTube, I got to find it. Where is it?
I think it's up to almost 200,000 if I recall.
I'm looking for the thumbnail. Oh, I have to click on Shorts. That's why. So it has 435,000 views on YouTube.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It's 436,000 views.
I remember being stuck at like 260 or something for quite some time.
Yeah, it looks like
and then it recycled.
It looks like it's going back up again.
Shorts are so weird. They pause for a while and then they go crazy.
2,300 subscribers. So we added 2,300 subscribers to that. And in terms of revenue, it's made $43.87. So don't look for revenue there. And this is why it's not about the money, and that's going to hurt YouTube in the long run because YouTube's not making money off of all these views, but they keep pushing shorts as if they're the next thing, the next best thing. But yeah, you can see that there's a huge spike right back up, Steven.
Weird.
You see how it just started to go? So yeah, that one did well, but then our other shorts that we've done recently have flailed. The second one, 37,000. The Bret Michaels one, 18,000 10 days ago. Is it dead? Is it going to resurge? Is it going to have any kind of surge? Right?
Do you think you'll end up posting the 195 frames per second R3 one on YouTube?
I guess maybe, just because we can, but it's just like,
And we've only done it 3 times. Like I do feel like we should do it more consistent for at least a month or 2 and see if it really, if any more pop, or is it just that initial one that popped for us?
Right. And so the Bret Michaels one on Instagram didn't even do great. It was 58,000, which is not great when normal ones can do 100,000. But
the R3 one did decent.
Well, the R7 one did 69,000. Was the R3 after that?
Yeah, we just released that.
Oh, you mean the 195
frames per second.
Well, that did 75,000, but that's not even as good as me just sitting here going, "Hey guys, look what came in the mail." Right?
Well, it's hit or miss. Sometimes yours pop and sometimes absolutely nothing.
Right. And I don't like this. I just want to share content. I really want to do a good job with what we do, and that's why
I'm with you, man. And I prefer the long form content personally.
And I don't
call me old school.
I don't think that, it's always good to try some of this stuff. Like, you listen to, like, if you look at Gary Vaynerchuk on Instagram and you look at him on TikTok, yeah, he's getting a shit ton of views on some and then not as many on others. But then you go back to his YouTube channel and you're like, wait a second, he's got like 3 million subscribers now on YouTube, but per view, he's not getting a lot of views per video like he was before. So he changed to go to something else. And yeah, he's got almost 4 million subscribers, and he's trying to ride the shorts playlist. But like, you look at this, one day ago, he had a video go up. It was 26,000 views. Then 22 hours ago, 10,000 views on a short. Then 18 hours ago, 9,500 views. 4 hours ago, 3,200 views. One day ago, 15,000. They're putting up like 3, 4, 5 of these shorts a day. And they're just...
My thing is, I think you start to alienate your actual real subscribing audience, because you see, in my feed, I would see all these 4 or 5 shorts a day, and I would probably end up missing the real content, the long form content that I'm used to, and that's why you earned me as a subscriber.
Yeah.
So
his regular videos aren't doing great anymore.
Losing out on views on the real stuff.
Well, yeah, like 3 weeks ago, Who's in the Zone? Leave me a comment, 12,000 views. Do you know what I was doing at 33 years old? 32,000 views. It's like, Because
personally, I pretty much skip every short that I see in my subscription feed on YouTube.
Yeah.
The one thing that I like that we're doing is we are making original shorts and not just rehashing and cutting up a video that we already did and posting that.
Well, that's what we're working on next, though.
Well, that's for like more the ancillary filler content in between.
Right.
But I think that's more for like TikTok and stuff like that. But I'm talking about YouTube, where you just end up seeing the same video twice.
Right. Which like Colin and Samir, who were blowing up for a while, but then you look at it, it's like the views that they're getting are from the shorts, right? It's not really their full-on interviews, and they're growing from it. But you look, it's like, well, they just cut up a section of their interview and made it a reel, made it a short, and it's just like, okay, but so what is success? They're getting success because they're using this YouTube system to grow, but it's also like saying that you have the most people in your circles on Google Plus, right? It's it's possible that it's gonna fail. I don't want to devalue our long form content, which I think is extremely informative and helpful for people, just to chase these numbers. And we've seen other channels do it, and they hurt because they focused on, like, one is, I look at the Sorry Girls, right? I like those Sorry Girls. They're from Canada, and they
Why do you like them, Jared?
I really think the one is very attractive. What do you want me?
You like what they do?
I like what they do.
DIY crafts.
Well, I really like they're good at what they do.
I like watching them.
Well, it's really similar to me, so it's like watching me. I actually had a girl the other day. She said something funny. She's into women, and she was like, someone asked her, what type of woman is she into? She's like, myself. I like women that like me, that look like me. I'm like, cool.
I like me.
I like
it's all
me.
About me.
It's all about me. I want to fuck myself.
Oh, Jesus.
That's what she said, I think. This was at dinner. We were having pizza. I didn't mean to go off the rails on that one, Steven. But so the other question I posed for myself, am I saying that I don't want to continue doing these because it's a lot of work, or it's not working like I intended it to? Or is it more so because it messes with my head trying to chase these numbers? And that's not why I started doing this. There are parts of the game you have to play, but I don't feel like I want to engage in putting up stupid TikToks. I talk to Vanessa Joy all the time, and I didn't want to preface stupid TikToks and then say Vanessa Joy, but there's a lot of stupid TikToks that she makes because she's chasing those numbers, and it has worked. She has grown her following to over 100 plus thousand on there, partly because she's like a sorry girl. I like looking at her, but
she say it doesn't hurt that she's easy on the eyes for sure.
Right. She's a very attractive woman and she has good, solid information. It doesn't hurt. It's just the truth of the matter is people are going to log in and watch stuff like that. But I don't like the content. I tell her that all the time. I'm like, this is just like, you're just like lip syncing to something. And I guess it works to get views, but are they the right views? Are those people sticking around to buy your products? Are they entering into your ecosystem and learning? Can you transition someone who likes a 7-second video into someone who watches a 7 to 12-minute video?
Yeah, good question.
That's all I gotta say about that, Steven. I've had enough of that. Anything else you want to talk about? We're about an hour, 10 minutes in, so we're pretty far into this bad boy. We like to keep them an hour. And anything you want to add to it?
Keep them consumable. No, I think we're good. All I want to add is try and watch the Bernie doc if you can.
Yeah.
The title might be changed by the time you watch it, but currently it's called "This Needs to Be Seen" with a very serious Jared Polin thumbnail. And I think we're both very proud of it. So I'd love for you guys to check it out if you haven't yet.
The other quick ones we could hit real fast because I don't even think we'll ever get to them next week or anything. I wanted to talk real quick. Sigma put out 2 lenses, a 20 millimeter 1.4 and a 24 1.4. And I just want to say that, I mean, I have them here. I don't understand these ranges. I don't understand a prime 20 1.4. I understand that people want to use it for astro. I get it. But a 20 millimeter lens is something that I used 25 years ago, was the widest lens that I bought. It was a 20 2.8. because I didn't have anything wider than 35 to 70. And this 20 was like a revelation for me when I shot concerts because wide wasn't very attainable at the time. And at 24 1.4, I just don't think it's necessary.
For me personally, I think I could see it for video applications, for shooting video. But besides that, I'd rather go with a zoom when it comes to like an ultra wide, like an 11 to 24 or 14 to 24. Just because when you're already shooting that wide, you're at least from a photojournalistic standpoint, it probably means you need the room. So you might need to be even wider. Yeah. And I'd rather have that extra, leeway of going 14 or 11 millimeters or whatever it may be, instead of being stuck with a 20. And when it comes to shooting prime, I think the widest I would probably go would be like a 35 1.4, 35 1.2, where you still get some decent depth, but I feel like you're kind of losing all of that the wider you go at, say, 24 or 20. It's kind of a pointless lens, in my opinion.
I do. And I was talking to Manny Ortiz about this. We need more 28 to 70 versions. 28 to 70 f2. We need more.
Give me the f2 Trinity. I've been waiting.
Sigma made the 18 to 35 1.8. Like that's unique, right? That's a valuable option for a lens. So
there was that last year or the last
Tamron.
2 years, I would say, a lot of very unique lenses came out.
35 to 150, f2 to 2.8, right? Stuff like that. But 20 1.4s and 24 1.4 is not something I want people to spend $799 or $899 on. I think there's much better options for you to spend your money on if you're a new photographer.
Now, granted, I do love that they're the DGDN lenses for Sony and that they're art lenses, because you can essentially get, pay half the price, $800-900 for that lens versus what it would cost if it was an actual native Sony lens.
Yeah.
It'd probably be $2,000.
Exactly. So what I want to look at right now, Steven, before we get out of here, is let's see how many views per hour, if it's continued to go up for the Bernie doc. To see, because we started and it was doing, on my end, it said 700. I don't see why it would be anything different on your end. Let's see. Where do I scroll to? Right here.
See, and while you're looking that up, the other hard thing...
715, it's up.
All right, there you go. The other hard thing to gauge is that first 30-minute mark. Out of the last 10 videos, it'll rate it. How is this? Is this a number 3 out of 10? Is this a 6 out of 10 based on the views? And it's hard with a long form video to really gauge that, because it's hard, again, to stop them in their tracks the first 30 minutes scrolling and watch a 50-minute video right then and there. So I never really trust the analytics the first hour or two when it comes to long form content.
Okay, so you guys want to text us 313-710-9729, hashtag episode number 11. Let us know what you think. If you are listening on iTunes or whatever, go leave a comment so we can see a 5-star comment, or at least 4. Nothing less than 4, though. I'm just put up whatever you want to put up. I don't care. If you hate me and Steven, then hate on us in the comments. Leave a comment though on why you hate us.
Don't post it publicly. Leave it to yourself.
Do whatever you want. I don't really care. I mean, I do care, but I'd love to hear what you have to say. We enjoy making this. This is much better than making a fucking 60-second short. We enjoy it. It doesn't get as many views or listens as a YouTube video, but I think for you guys who like listening to this and need something to listen to in the car, I like listening to it in the car. Not that I listen to our podcast back, but I like other podcasts.
I just listen to my own podcast over and over.
Hey, this is really good. That's a really good point, Jared. I'm going to text 313-710-9729.
Shaking your head constantly. Oh, I agree with that.
That's a good point. This guy's an asshole. All right, Steven. You're Steven.
I'm Steven, yep.
I'm Jared. This is RAWtalk episode number 11. Thank you guys very much for listening. Jared, Polin, Fronos, Photo.com. See ya.